Why don't, I asked Grant tentatively, we talk about the media? Okay, he said. When you go out on the campaign trail, you're going to have to start answering questions from reporters, and they're not going to give you any time to think. They expect you to respond right away. Of course, he said. I started posing hypothetical questions. I was the reporter and he was the candidate. Why do you want to run for city council? Grant looked away, embarrassed. If we don't do something about our transportation mess, or if we build the wrong mass transit infrastructure now, we're going to be stuck with that decision for the next 100 years. This came out without enthusiasm. Why are you running against Richard McIver? Because, he said, Richard McIver is the chairman of the council's transportation committee, and he's done nothing to help this city's transit mess except create more problems. And he's tried to kill monorail twice. Why are you running against the only black city council member? Grant told me he didn't want to do this. He said he already knew how to answer questions, and he thought my exercise was silly. He kept dropping his eyes down to the tabletop, only to raise them defiantly again. He started to call me Bill to make the experience less personal for him. Well, why don't... I can't do this, Grant said. Bill, I'm just going to end up yelling here. Then you yell at me, I said. I don't care, I can take it. So feel free to yell, but you cannot lose your temper out there in public. My own ferociousness shocked me. I looked at my fingernails. Grant rifled through his organizer. Things are going to pick up right away for this campaign, he said. I'm not sure what happens first, but I know the Democrats begin meeting in a month or so for their endorsement meetings. That's going to be key. I'm going to need a logo, yard signs, remit envelopes. You know, I said, there are some reporters who might ask you some pretty tough questions you might not want to answer. Listen, he said. I said, how are you going to respond? What about the Mariners? They're having a pretty good season. Do you support them? You did a lot of work in the campaign to prevent the city from tearing down the Kingdome so they could have a new stadium. This was too much. People aren't going to care about that, Grant said. His hand seized the edge of the table. That was years ago. Who cares? Nobody's going to ask me that. Look, the Mariners have their stadium now, and the Seahawks almost have theirs. And you know what? There were a lot of people out there who voted against the stadiums. A lot. More than half. We won, and they cheated, and I got death threats over that stupid campaign. It was a bogus deal that they pulled, and it ripped off taxpayers. And you know what? I still have a little resentment for the Mariners. Grant lunged forward. His hands were white, all balled up. He held onto the table as if he meant to break it in half. I fled to the bathroom.